Hi, this is Chris Gould, and this Show Me video is about understanding Snapseed's stacks and then the stacks brush. Now I want to just introduce you to this issue called stacks. This little button up here means stacks. And if I tap it and tap View Edits, down in the lower right, it shows me everything I've done to this photo. So let's say that I decide now that that HDR scape was maybe a bit too much for this picture. I think the Toon image had everything I needed. So I can tap on HDR scape and trash can. I can remove the HDR scape, but put back the pieces that I did with the Toon image. So that's what the stack is. But now I want to show you some really cool ways that you can use it with the brush. This one. So this is the Grand Canyon again, and I would like to do an HDR. Open in Snapseed. Tools and HDR scape. And I like that. I think it could use even more. So how do I get more? Rub the finger to the right, and I get more. This is a little bit too light. I wonder if I can make it a little darker. So I will rub my finger up and down, and I do see a brightness option. I can rub my finger to the left to get less brightness. And then back to the filter strength. So I really like that for the canyon, but notice that it's gotten a bit much up in the branches here. And that happens with HDR. You get these artifacts around the branches. The bright light and the dark just doesn't work. So I want this HDR effect on the canyon and not so much on the sky. Let me show you how. First, I will accept this. I'll tap the check mark to say, yes, this is the level of HDR that I'm going to use. But now I'm going to go into the stack and I say, I want to brush that feature on to the canyon and not so much to the sky. Stacks and View Edits. And on the HDR scape here, see the little arrow to the left? Tap the little arrow to the left, and now there's a brush. I choose the brush. So we are now using the stack brush. And what we see on the screen is the original photo. And it says, okay, you will be brushing on the HDR scape at 100%. So I just brush in the canyon. And I'm getting those colors and that HDR scape. Now I do want it in the sky, just not as much. So I will decrease to say 50%, and I'll brush that onto the sky. This is just so much fun, you guys. You feel like you're finger painting. And is that pretty? I just think that is really pretty without any compromise. So I save this one. This is one more example on the stacks brush. So this is a group of friends. This is actually my fellow Google Photos experts last week at the Google conference. But let's pretend. I want you to pretend that the three guys in here have entered the witness protection program. So they don't want their faces shown. Here's how so they want them blurred out. Tools and lens blur. But lens blur is going to affect the whole, the purpose of lens blur is to have one part of the picture that is in focus and the rest of it out of focus. But I'm going to use the stacks brush to brush the blur onto just where I want it to be. So first step, I want to make sure that all these people's faces are as out of focus as possible, like right there. And I accept that by tapping on the check mark. Now I open up the stack and view edits, and lens blur, I'm going to use the brush. As soon as I tap the brush, the whole pictures goes back to normal. And now when I'm brushing, I'm going to be brushing this lens blur on at 100%. So I'll zoom in to Joe's face and just wipe him out. And Nick's face. And then over here. So now, hopefully you won't have a need to use it for that very often, but you probably have had times when a license plate or a phone number has been showing that you wanted to blur out in a picture. Or I have a friend that works with at-risk kids, and she is not allowed to post pictures of the kids, that she has to blur them out when she has photos of them. So it does have a real use. I save that.